Hey everybody, it's Mike from Forward Observer and Gray Zone Activity. It's been a while since I've done a video, so I want to talk about some of the gear that I teach in the Tactical Intelligence course and also gear that I recommend and also use in personal life, whether that's hog hunting or SHTF preparedness, just having things. So the first thing that we are going to discuss today is this right here. It's just a PVS-14 monocle. It's very handy. My buddy Homer from Bliss pointed out, he actually said this in the best way possible. It's nighttime it's at least low vis for roughly half of every day year round on average. And so your ability to see in the night is a strategic advantage that is going to put you potentially above threats, whether that's wild animals in a worst case scenario, or wild animals of the humankind. So the ability to see at night is absolutely crucial. We use night vision to hunt hogs, so it has a practical use for me because we use these frequently throughout the year, especially in the winter when we're harvesting hogs and taking meat off of hogs. So there's a lot of PVS-14s out there. This is from Night Ops Tactical. I'll tell you a really good place to shop for night vision like a PVS-14, and that is ReadyMadeResources.com. Call Rob Griswold. His number's right on his website, www.ReadyMadeResources.com, and he has a bunch of really good options for night vision. This is the LG Omni VIII. So it's white phos tubes, so it's white as opposed to green. Green was a more traditional, especially 10, 20 plus years ago. Everything's green. Now, I really like white better over than green because I like to see the contrast between white and black through these nods. PVS-14, highly recommend it. I saw somewhere on Instagram the other day said body armor is more important than night vision. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. For me, night vision is one of the top items. If you got to buy gear, okay, if you have to buy stuff, I rail against stuff all the time because knowledge and skills trump gear. However, night vision is one of those things that was high on my priority, even outside of hog hunting, because I like to see things that go bump in the night. Strategic advantage over people who do not have this. And so if you're really concerned about an SHTF scenario, then night vision, for me, absolutely where it's at. The next item, let's talk about digital night vision. So this is the Sionyx Aurora. So this is digital night vision. I like this quite a bit. There are some drawbacks. So number one, anytime you're talking about night vision, all these things do is it amplifies the light source. So if there's no ambient light or very little ambient light, then you're going to need an IR light, regardless of what type of device you have. Now, the thing with these PVS-14s, if you have a really good pair, a Gen 3 or with a FOM score of over 1800, I mean, I've seen Rob Griswold has some with like FOM scores of 2200, which is phenomenal. I think he also has some aviation grade night vision. So if there's no light, if there's no moon, if there's no ambient light from wherever you are, like if you're out in a very rural area, you may want to also invest in an IR flashlight. So there are weapon mounted lights like the X300V. I think that's surefire. There's all sorts of IR lights. I know the X300V because that's what we run on our rifles. All right. So at any rate, back to this digital night vision. This is the Sionyx Aurora. The thing about this is it is really bad when there's no ambient light. So if you're in an urban environment, I actually really like the Aurora from Sionyx. I have absolutely no financial interest in these companies whatsoever. But if you're in an urban environment where there's street lights, where there is ambient light, the digital night vision, I think, is probably worth the $600 or $800. Black Friday's coming up. I'm sure they're going to be having some kind of sales. Here's the other cool thing about this is it can record. It can take pictures. It can record video. There's an SD card on here, pretty handy to have. And it's also color. Now, here's the problem with color. The color is not always accurate, but it is good to get a sense of. I look at the color and I get a better, I think, depth of vision because I can see the different colors and different shadings. Now, here's the thing with this: there's a refresh rate on here. PVS-14 is real life. We use these to hunt because whatever you're seeing is whatever's out there. Since this is digital, there is a refresh rate. There's also a delay. So every, I don't know, what is it, 10 seconds or so, this thing will kind of refresh what it's seeing. And so if you're trying to hunt with these or like do nighttime shooting and stuff like that, because there is a delay on here, I don't really recommend it for shooting. However, just for scanning your area at night, if you hear something rustling in the bushes, it's a pretty handy to have. Now, the next thing, I really like this. I was out looking at stuff last night with this. So this is a new thermal imager that I have. This is the Pulsar Helion 2 XP50, and I can highly recommend this. If you have the money to put toward this, I do highly recommend it. It's thermal, and it does have a refresh rate, and so like what's every like 10 seconds or so, it will momentarily freeze and refresh. The delay, I think, on these are there's not a considerable delay, not like the Sionyx. However, man, we were the first night I took this out, we were seeing armadillos at like 500 meters. So it's absolutely incredible. It also has a focus knob right here, so you can really focus in what you want to. It starts at 2.5 zoom. That's where it just starts. So it's actually really handy to have if you're looking out, 100 or 200 meters. Within like 50 meters, it's not that great. But if you're trying to look for stuff like in a tree line or on the other side of the field or way back here, it's great. It also goes up to 20x zoom. And 20x zoom does get grainy, but if you really want to zoom in on something and look at the silhouette and say, okay, is that an armadillo? Is that a hog? Is that a deer? Is it a cow? You don't want to shoot the cows. It's really great. I highly recommend this Pulsar Helion 2 XP50. And then the last piece of gear that I will recommend here is I bought this a couple years ago now. It's the Vortex Recce Pro. It's 8x32. And it's just a spotting monocle. Pretty handy to have. One reason why I bought this is because during that last surveillance class that we ran in Dallas, it was very difficult to, once we're following a vehicle, and once you get, obviously beyond 50 to 100 meters, it's very difficult to read license plates. So if you're trying to follow let's say a black luxury SUV in Dallas, Texas, I don't know, man, there's only like 20,000 of those things on the road. It gets very difficult at distance to differentiate between the two. And binoculars, okay, binoculars are great. I just happen to like this monocle much better. And I just heard from a buddy, now they have like image stabilizing binoculars. So if you're riding around on a bumpy road, it's obviously, this is great, but it will also be bumpy. And I don't know anything about image stabilizing binoculars, but I'm definitely going to check them out. All right, so those are the 4 pieces of kit that we talked about in my tactical intelligence class. We'll go through them one more time. So there's a PVS-14, which is really nice. The Gen 3 night vision. Again, this is the Omni VIII. Great piece of kit. Highly recommend it. That would be my absolute first purchase. On the lower end, there's digital night vision, which can also come in handy, especially if you do have illumination. I'm telling you, if there's no natural illumination, like no lights or no moon or anything like that, man, this is really tough to use if there's no illum. So go ahead and invest in an IR flashlight as well. We have the Pulsar Helion 2 XP50 thermal, highly recommended. I love this thing. It is incredible. And then we have Vortex Recce Pro 8X monocle here. And it's good for, if you're deer hunting, even, looking out there, if you don't have some people would rather look through a scope, but if you have a buddy who's also trying to zoom in, pretty handy to have. All right, so these are the 4 pieces of kit that I talk about that I can recommend because I use them, and we will have new classes posted very soon on www.grayzoneactivity.com. We'll be in Houston. We're going back to Vegas. I'm pretty sure we'll be in Detroit. We'll be in Nashville. We'll be in a couple other places the first quarter of next year. By the way, let's talk about this. So we have the 2-day tactical intelligence class, and then we also have a 1-day intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance class. So we'll be talking about surveillance, reconnaissance, how to build local networks, kind of more advanced things. And there's a 3-day version of that class. And so it's 2 days of tech intel, 1 day of ISR. We also have our 2-day surveillance class. We got a 2-day close target reconnaissance class, like how to pick locks and reconnaissance planning, stuff like that. And I think when we go back to Vegas, we're going to be running like a more advanced human intelligence gathering class. So that'll be, I believe that's in March. Oh, we're going back to Orlando/Ocala in February as well. www.grayzoneactivity.com. We are really going to be prioritizing teaching, both online and in the classroom/field for 2022 because time is running out. Also, I'm going to be doing more videos this year, actually starting this week. You can catch those here. So like and subscribe. Appreciate the support. Until next time, be well and stay out front.